Hey, welcome to a new episode of the You Got the Wrong Dude podcast. I'm your host, Ron Jam, and thank you very much for tuning in. This episode, which you can stream for free on YouTube and SoundCloud, where you can also download, going to be talking about my review of John Wick Chapter 4. The final in the series? I guess we'll see. As far as Mr. Wick. Of course, we had Ballerina, which I learned afterwards. I didn't look up any spoilers for this. This review does contain spoilers, so you've been warned. But like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, follow, all that fun stuff. I'd love to hear from you. So please leave some comments. Let me know what you think. And I learned afterwards that Ballerina takes place between 3 and 4, and that makes sense because Angelica Houston played the director, and she was at a ballerina practice session, whatever you want to call it, in the third one. That's where we met her character. Because after watching the ending of this, I was like, when does he meet with this ballerina? But IMDb score 7.6. Yeah, that's a bit low. For a random movie, that's really good, but Rotten Tomatoes 94. Whoa there, horsey. And I give this movie a 9 out of 10. And I'll explain why. There's so much good stuff in this. There's so much action, I couldn't even write down. I'm like, nothing really stood out. But I'll get into, the cinematography and all that later. But one thing I want to dive into right away, and this isn't a knock against the franchise at all, but the way people talked about these movies and all the build-up and hype, I was under the impression at least one of them cracked $1 billion at the box office. But so all the movies made their money back. Let's see, the first one, budget 20 to 30 million, box office 86 million, and none of this includes digital release or anything. And keep in mind, marketing usually about the same as the movie budget. So first one made a nice return, but it was such a hit. And then the second one, budget 40 million, box office 174. It's like, really? Third one, budget 75 million, box office 327. Okay. And then of course chapter 4, $100 million budget, 447 million at the box office. Now that's a good chunk of change. But again, I'm not knocking the movies. I just assume they made boatloads of money. But shout out to director Chad and his crew, his team. Because none of these movies went over $100 million as far as their budget, which is also pretty shocking. Especially with this one, I would have figured around 200 some million at least, like mid 200s. Because it's so rich and elegant and just so many great shots. But there are some loose ends I'll get into. The ending kind of wrapped up quick despite the 2-hour, 40-minute runtime. That's not including credits, of course. But this is one movie where all of these, like the runtimes get longer, but it gets everything done that it needs to. Doesn't set up really anything else. There is a credit scene. If you haven't seen that, I'll be talking about that. Which kind of sets up maybe, maybe a series with Donnie Yen's character Kane. We'll see. But anyways, we'll talk about that later. My notes are all over the place. High Table. There was a lot of hype for that because I'm like, I don't think we've even seen any of I believe it's 12 board members. I thought John was going to go in and kill all of them at one point, like he said. And before watching these movies, I looked up the fight scenes and all the gunplay, and I was like, yeah, it was okay, but the fight with Kane and Killa in this one, I thought that was the High Table. Because they said, Russian, Chinese, Yen's character Kane, and I don't mean to get it wrong or anything. I don't know if he's Chinese, Japanese, but anyways, I thought that was the High Table, like a card game thing. But that fight with Scott Adkins' character, because even in that big suit, he can really move. Great to see him. He, of course, was in Ip Man 4. That's IP Man 4 with Donnie Yen about, 6 years ago. And just like Keanu with Lawrence Fishburne, it's great to see them, but they're playing completely different characters and they don't need to reference anything. Would have been cool to see Kane and Killa throw down, but what a great fight, and that music and kind of the club scene again. Those I never get tired of. But it was like an hour and something, I think, into the movie, and I was like, oh, this isn't the high table. Because John sent there to kill him, to kill Killa, or Kila, whatever you call him. Because that's the guy who killed, what's-her-name's brother, something like that. But still a great scene. The death of John Wick, let's jump into that. I had no idea about that. I pat myself on the back just because typically I'll look up spoilers. It's just so easy to. You're going to see a movie and then it's like, but I want to know now. This, I didn't look it up. And when I saw that ballerina movie that came out, I was like, oh, he survived. And then at the end, I wrote a question mark next to Death to John. Because at first I was like, oh, okay. When we see the Bowery King in Winston at his tombstone next to his wife, I was like, oh, so they faked his death. Because you figure everything John's been through in these movies, all the times he's been shot, stabbed, the falls, I don't know how much those protected him, the suit, but it must have, because he just walks away. But I was like, oh, that's clever, because they're going to do like a Dark Knight Rises kind of thing. And those two will be at the tombstones in the graveyard. People will see that and they'll be like, but then what do they do? Bury a fake body? Because people would be watching. People know stuff way too fast in this world. Or they really are just that quick. Because somebody will show up to a place and they'll be like, you can't just kill this person. It's like, how did you find out about that? But I thought it was sweet. Kind of ties into the first movie because I started, at the end with him, crashing the SUV. And then we thought those were his final moments because he lies down, he's watching that video of his wife. And then to end it on that note was really sweet. I still think, I don't know what the exact quote was, but it's one of those things like, I don't think I could ever write anything better than that or sweeter. Because I think it was in 2 or 3 when he says he wants to keep living so he can remember his wife. I mean, that's just beautiful. It's one of those things like, well, it's right there, but I never heard anything like that. Because once he's gone, then what? But even in the boat, in the underground, when he says, loving husband, and I'm like, nah, he's going to be fine. He wants that on his tombstone, but that'll be later on. But the death, it was sad that he was up against Kane, but I really wanted to see him and Marquis or Marquise, I'll call him Marquis. All that build up and stuff, and then it's just kind of like Silva in Skyfall. Spoiler alert, he gets a knife in the back and like, no, throw down, come on guys, all this build up. Like, what does Marquis have? He's got some skills, he can move. And then he just shoots him in the head, and it's like, oh, okay, but not that we needed another fight scene. I mean, there's plenty of action in this movie, but I found it underwhelming. And I like that, Winston says, like, you arrogant prick, he didn't fire his 3rd shot. And I picked up on that, but I didn't think anything of it. But then it just wraps up so quickly, and Winston and Bowery King exchange a few words, at John's tombstone, and you just figured like Donnie Yen's character would have been there, and John Leguizamo with the car. That's not like a plot hole or anything, but it's just one of those like, I thought there'd be more of a send-off for the character, and they're just so sad because it's just overall you look back and you're like, geez, that sucks. He's gonna retire, live and die with his wife as they get old, and then she gets sick and dies. Dog is shot, car is stolen. He needs resources, and he's back, and it's just one of those hits you in the gut. And to compare it again to the Taken trilogy, because that one, the third one, is just like, spoiler alert, when his ex-wife gets killed, and in the end it's just like, oh, because it's not like bad, like what's the point of these movies, but it's just one of those kind of like another couple references. When Clerks 3, when that came out, and in the beginning they pulled an Alien 3 on us with Becky already being dead. Now you're just like, no. What happened to Hicks? And oh gosh, what was her name? Don't dislike this podcast because of this. Oh gosh. The kid from Aliens. Was it Hoot or something? You just start off and it's like that punch to the gut and you're like, well, why'd you do that? But it's, John Wick's story, it's very sad in that, but I really wanted him to get his ring back. What happened to that and his finger? Because I remember they did a close-up shot on that. And in this one, in the beginning, he goes out to the desert, somehow just tracks down these guys. Because maybe he remembered that spot he was at in the third one, but still 2 had the best opening. Start out with a car chase and we're like, whoa, I thought everything was done. They're like, oh, the car. But anyways, I'm all over the place here. I have like twice as many notes as usual. The high table, loose ends, not taking away points though, because they've announced a part 5, but I don't know if we're talking about like in the expanded universe, kind of like Ballerina, like her story. Because obviously John, unless they did fake his death, I don't know. We never saw him being buried or anything. So, but with the high table, let's see. Let me go through my notes here. Oh, what was his name? At the duel at the end. Maybe I don't have it written down here. But the gentleman who kind of hosted the event, with the high table, I thought we were going to see them, but maybe they're saving that. Because obviously John doesn't go in and kill them. If they were in that building, I don't know. Or if that was Marquis' place. So loose end, but that, like I said, I'm not taking a point away for that. When I first saw Bill Skarsgård character Marquis, I thought it was Yusuf from the first movie. The son of, what was it, Vigo? I was like, how the heck did he survive that? I looked him closer and closer. I was like, wait, is that the guy from It? Or one of those movies? I was like, oh, okay. I think I looked it up, but no spoilers or anything about it. Let's see, Lance Reddick, rest in peace. Played Sharon in this one. Apparently was in the Ballerina movie, but I think that was his last role. And his death in this was surprising, but kind of underwhelming, because I didn't understand. Because I don't know exactly when he passed away, so I don't know if they were like, well, he didn't film the rest of his scenes, or he got all the scenes for the Ballerina movie. But I also forgot in my review of 3, I forgot to shout him out when he teams up with John. We need guns, lots of guns. And he didn't really get a lot of moments to shine during that, but it was cool. And but a great role, great performance, and I don't know how he died in that, but I do remember when that happened, people posting their condolences and that. Let's see the post-credit scene, which I kind of touched on. Akira versus Kane. could be interesting. With a knife, I don't know if he's going to pick up on that. And by the way, Donnie Yen, because you remember in Rogue One, are you kidding me? I'm blind. And he's playing a blind guy again, but it's interesting because you figure they do it so maybe he, doesn't respond or react too fast, but he's as quick as ever. And one of his best roles. Definitely. He's just a great character actor, But that post-credit scene, I'm not sure what the plan is with that. I wanted to see him hug his daughter because he saw her, I believe, playing, what was it, the violin or something, which is sweet. But again, just more closure with John. But I really liked their relationship throughout this movie because you could tell he didn't want to kill him. And the manager at the Osaka Continental, I don't remember his name exactly, Akira's father. Great performance, tons of great action from him. Very sad death and his daughter being injured as well. And all the shots there, I mean, good gosh. And all the cinematography, just the way the action is shot. Because I think I said in the last one, I'm worried about redundancy. Because it's like, well, with John, it's just headshots and then the roll slam. And it's kind of like, and reloading. And I'm like, haven't we seen enough of this? But this proves it's all about how you shoot it. The choreography in that. And what else happens? Does stuff happen around you? But, okay, the Mr. Nobody. Now another loose end. But again, I'm sure he'll return in the next one. Maybe him and Donnie's character Kane will team up. I like the name Mr. Nobody. For me, I first thought of, Fast and Furious with Kurt Russell's character. But I was curious, well, how is he able to track John? How long has he been tracking him? And what history does he have? Because he was kind of hinting that, they have a past together. But obviously John doesn't know him, but he spares his life, saves his dog. And, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of that character. I love everything with the backpack, the armor and that, and the dog. Again, the horse, the chase in the beginning, and then the dog attacks in this one. Because I thought in the third one, it's like, well, you don't want to repeat action stuff. But again, the sets, locations, all the camera work in that. And it's like, nope, I take it back. Keep doing it. Another loose end. Angelica Houston is the director. I don't remember seeing her in this one. Well, I'm sure she's in the Ballerina movie. But I just had a note about that. And Asia as the... I still can't pronounce it. From the third movie, she was the representative who was sent out. She met Winston at the Continental and that. I wanted to see her character return. Maybe get into some fights, some gunplay. Let's see. The plot gets everything done that it needs to. So a 5 out of 5 there. Pacing. I got to give it a 5 out of 5. I don't have any notes about stuff I would have taken out. Because the action sequences are extensive. John, when he falls down the stairs, it's like, ooh, ow, ee. Oh, and he falls down the next set. But something like that, it's just like, no, that's part of it. It didn't bother me at all. And pacing's very well because this movie, just like the other ones, it doesn't branch off. And there is more. I think maybe 3 had a better balance than 4, but then again, it's like, well, he already got his revenge in the first movie. And then these movies were, in scenes with other characters other than John having conversations. But again, it doesn't get, confusing or anything. It's just more about, the high table. Talk about strict, huh? Jeez, guys, take a vacation. But it sets everything up and you feel the threat, and we still haven't even seen these people. But yeah, 5 out of 5. Same with the cinematography. All the shots are beautiful. The choreography. And again, when I watched the first one, I looked up Chad. First time director. I'm like, no way. And then you look at his resume and he'd done a lot of stunt work in that over the years. And you're like, oh, who better to direct an action movie? But all the shots in these, and you're just like, this is brilliant. Absolutely stunning. And this one is like the best of all three. Not that any of them were bad or anything. Of course not. But visuals, you're just like, how do you have a shot list? Do you think of these, or do you go to location and figure it out? And as far as the cast, everyone shines. I wrote plot and story. I meant to write cast. Plot, story, But everyone, I think, shines in the roles. And there's just so much good stuff in these. I was curious, another loose end, because when Santino and Gianna died in 2, who would get their seat at the high table? Because remember, when I'd watched 2, when they mentioned the high table, I thought, oh, that's Killa and Kane, that scene, before the big fight. But now it's like, well, wait, who got the seat at the actual high table? And I think that's it for my notes. So some loose ends, and then John's death. Not that it was underwhelming. There was a lot of build-up in that. But I like the Old West duel set up, and it's sad that it's with someone who he likes and respects. But I would have had more of a... I don't know. More of a conflict with Marquis, because all that build-up and then just a shot in the head. It's like Thanos slipping on a banana peel, knocking himself out, and you're like, okay, you get that big oven mitt off. And but again, it's well done. It's very Bond. As far as, like I said, rich, elegant. And this one, 9 out of 10. And I'm going to watch the Ballerina movie. I don't know if that's streaming. I'm sure it is. But yeah, so let me know what you thought about what I said and about the movie overall. Were you satisfied, or, it sucks, but because for him to go through all that and then the one shot that kills him. But anyways, like, share, subscribe, follow, rate, review. Stream for free on YouTube and SoundCloud, where you can also download for free. And I will see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye, Jonathan.